Spoken words, voice, tone, body language, and visual expression are all part of an effective communication. Imagine you had one thing that affected all of these. Stuttering is a speech disorder which causes an interruption in speech, known as blocks. An individual who stutters knows what he or she would like to say, but has trouble producing a normal flow of speech. To understand the effects of stuttering on an individual, we seek these questions from our parents or speech therapists. And also, we'll speak to Junior on his personal experience with stammering. We try to explore the feelings one may go through, experiences in school, working life, any such form. We'll seek an explanation on their feelings growing up with this disorder and how he felt his disorder was received by others. Let's take a look.
What would your advice be to someone that was struggling with this?
I would say the first thing is to speak about it to your family, your friends, embrace it and learn to see the strength in having a stammer and not just focus on the weaknesses and where that strength can take you. The second thing I would say is to seek advice from the British Stammering Association, which provides you a safe environment where you're surrounded by like-minded people that have the same challenges you do, and they can speak on it in a way that you understand. And another thing is to provide you with the right representation of people that have done well in their careers, that have been partners or directors or managers in their field that have a stammer, that allows you to understand that having a stammer shouldn't be a barrier to you achieving your goals or you moving that step higher in your career. My name is Junior Abimbola. I work as a consultant in a consultancy firm.
When did you notice you had a stammer?
I think for me, I've had a stammer for as long as I can remember. So the better question for me would be, when have I ever not had a stammer? So I think my stammering goes back from probably the age of 5 or earlier than that, and I've lived with it ever since.
Did you get bullied at school? And if so, did you get help?
I would say I did, really. You know, it wasn't the very sort of overt or the physical bullying per se. It was very much sort of, even before I spoke, it was very much deemed I was incompetent because I couldn't get a word out. In secondary school, I got some help to see a speech therapist, which sort of helped, but I think with stammering, it's not more what you can say, what you can't say. It's the mental effect it has on you in terms of how you go about life, how you interact with people, how you sort of dream.
How would you feel if your child inherited your stammer?
I wouldn't feel any way about it because I think over the years I've learned to adapt to it. I've learned to understand by having a stammer the strength it gives me. I think one of the biggest strengths it's given me is the ability to listen and understand more, because you know you're given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So I've been able to sort of use those strengths to my advantage. And if my daughter or son inherited it, I would teach them to embrace it for what it is, and teach them to understand the strength it gives them and how to, you know, articulate themselves or advance themselves in their career in any form of life using those strengths that having a stammer gives them, but also offer them the help they need in terms of speaking and the mental aspect of dealing with the stammer.
How has it affected you at work and school and when you have to do presentations?
In school, it did affect me because because of my stammer, I'll be very nervous or cautious to sort of raise my hand for presentation, because I'd always think, because you're always thinking, if I get this wrong, how will I look? In terms of work-wise, I would say it hasn't affected me that much. I think that's probably more because over years I've learned to deal with it and I've learned to accept it. So, you know, when I do have gaps of when I stammer, I just go ahead with it and try not to hide it as much, because I think the challenge of having stammering is the more you try to hide it, the more difficult it gets. And so for me, in terms of my career, it hasn't affected me that much, you know, as I've gone further on in my career. But that's not saying it didn't affect me early on in my career. But I think as I've got older and I've learned to deal with it, and I've learned to be more expressive and confident, I've been more open about it, it's affected me less. In terms of presentation, I tend to try to rest my presentation as much as I can, so I know what I'm saying, I know my slides, and the best thing for me is, when it comes to presentation, is try not to wing it, because the more I wing it, the more I'm in my own head and the more I feel like I stammer. So yeah.
Hi, my name is Beth. I'm a speech and language therapist. It can be really scary when your child wakes up and their talking is bumpy. They might have repetitions, they might be repeating the beginning part of their phrase or their sentence, they might just have a block and not be able to get their words out, or they might be lengthening some of the sounds in their words, what we call an elongation, or they might just be displaying combinations of these three things. If children are under the age of about 5, then we tend not to worry too much. It can be really common for children to develop bumpy talking or a stammer or a stutter when they have leaps in their development. For example, if their sentences have all of a sudden got longer, or they're using more adjectives, or they're using more describing words in their sentences, then sometimes this can coincide with a little bit of bumpy talking, and it tends to settle down after a few weeks or so. For some people, a stammer does last a little bit longer, and if you are worried about your child who has a stammer, then you should contact your local speech and language therapy service. You can contact your NHS speech therapy service, or you can find a private speech therapist like me in your area by just Googling and having a look online. There are some strategies that I want to share with you from a parent perspective that you can use to help your child whose talking might be a little bit bumpy or a little bit stammering, okay? The main thing is try not to worry. Try not to draw too much attention to it, and certainly don't say to them, stop, slow down, because it might just make things a little bit worse. In our daily lives, things can be very busy. We might have more than one child or more than one person in our house, and just trying to get through our normal routine can be a real busy time. And then all of a sudden your youngster wants to say something to you and their words are bumpy. Okay? Even though it's tricky from a parent perspective, the best thing you can do is to stop what you're doing and give your child full attention. Talking with a nice slow voice, this will help to reassure your little one that what they have to say is important to you and you do want to hear them. Try and make time for special time, 5 to 10 minutes per day, just where you haven't got the telly on, you haven't got any other distractions, just the two of you talking, making sure that they can see your face, making sure you're giving that eye contact. And then this will give you opportunities not only to support their stammer with your slower talking, but also to support any of their language development. If they make any errors with their grammar, that you can support back just by modelling back the words that they should have said, or asking more questions, asking them about their day, helping to develop their conversation skills. Creating opportunities for talking is one of my favourite things to do. Making sure that everyone has a turn. Ask a question and then let your child answer it. Don't answer a question that you've asked yourself, because then you're not making enough opportunities for your little one to talk to you. Slowing down busy situations is what I've just mentioned before. Slowing down busy situations is one of the important things that you can do as a parent. When things are really rushed and your little one is super excited or super tired and their talking is much more bumpier than usual, just try to slow down the situation a little bit. Take 2 steps out of the situation and just slow down your talking, and this will help to reassure your child that they can take a deep breath and get their words out, and you're waiting, you're listening. Try not to draw attention to your little one's bumpy talking. They might not even be aware of it. It might have been something they woke up with one day, but it'll probably go in a week or so. Okay? Certainly don't ask them to repeat themselves or to stop or to try again, and don't give them the words that they want to be saying, otherwise it might cause them to get a bit more bumpier with their talking. My favourite thing, making sure that you are praising your child for all the things that they can do. If your child is a super duper artist and really good at drawing, tell them, okay? If they've done fantastic waiting a turn while their younger sibling had to go at a game, then tell them, say that's fantastic, well done. By boosting the child's confidence, this should help to boost their self-esteem and to help them to be able to cope with their bumpy talking. If you are worried about your child's stammering, or if your child has suddenly developed a stammer, then please do contact your local speech therapist. There'll probably be a really fun, friendly person like me who can give you a little bit of reassurance. Thanks for listening.
Now over to you. Like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe.